Welcome back to the Mulberry Book Drop. Hey, Bethany.
Hi, Sarah.
How you doing?
I am doing very well.
We are in March.
I can't believe it.
Crazy, right? Mm-hmm. Absolutely crazy. I'm still writing 2025 on papers. And I'm like, wrong year.
Yeah, you got to change that.
I know. Okay, we're going to play a little game. And it's called Keep or Toss. And it's, have you tried... Or do you want to keep this or do you want to toss this, and are you ready? Which I know we kind of did like with the trends a few months ago. Mm-hmm. So kind of similar. Are you ready?
Sure.
A weighted vest. Keep or toss?
I have learned some science behind this, and I would say keep, even though I don't own one.
I know nothing about it, so I'm going to toss it.
Oh.
No, just kidding.
It's good for your bones.
I love that for my bones. What about a crochet granny square if you finish a book, or like the book snake?
Oh, like when they do the colored thing? Yeah. I would say keep, but I don't know where they find the time.
Yeah.
And also the storage space. I don't know where they find the place to like store them when they're done.
That's real.
They are fun though. I like to look at other people, so I would say keep, and then they can just keep posting them so I can enjoy them.
There you go. Perfect. Are you sustainable to TV shows, music, when they show a bunch like in your social media feed? Like, are you like, oh, I want to see that TV show, I want to see that movie. What about the music?
Yes and no. I think it depends on like who's posting it, first of all. Mm-hmm. But I think sometimes it depends on like who the actor is or something like that. Like if I'm not familiar with the person, sometimes I can just like skim right past it and not even notice. I am,
nope, all the way.
Yeah.
Sometimes like a show will pop up that like I forgot about, and I'll be like, I need to go back and watch it. Mm-hmm. So, music, not so much, except like the nostalgia. That's what I'm like, the nostalgia feeling.
Yeah. I always feel really proud of myself when I like find something on my own.
Yeah.
Like that's always the most exciting, because sometimes if everybody's excited about it, I'm like a little let down.
Oh, I'm so glad you said that.
Yeah. But then
keep that in the back of your mind.
I will. But then if I find it on my own, or maybe only one person mentioned it to me.
Yeah.
And then I get to share it with somebody else, like, I don't know, that's more exciting to me.
Agreed. I'm like that with documentaries.
Oh, I love a documentary.
Yes, you do.
I do.
Okay, the last one. Did you do the share you in 2016 trend, or how it started versus how it's going trends? Keep or toss?
I would say toss.
Okay.
I would say toss. I don't know. I don't usually do those ones on the socials.
On the socials?
Yeah, I don't usually do the, share a picture. I don't, yeah.
Oh, I 100% do.
Yeah.
I
don't have that many pictures, like, on my phone, though. Like, I don't keep a bunch of stuff I tend to move everything.
If I'm telling the truth, a lot of times if I post, like, an old picture, it's because I went to Facebook and got it. Because I've had Facebook since I was a freshman in high school. So, she's shaking her head at me. So like the 2016 trend.
Sarah, I didn't even have a computer when I was a freshman in high school.
So in 2016, I did it, and then I was looking at it, and I was like, I don't actually know if I want to share mine, because I really don't look that different. And I was like, I mean, does that mean I'm young and vibrant? I'm just kidding. It just means that I've worn my hair the same way and done my makeup the same way since I was like 15. But in 2016, I was 21. So still, the only difference is I wore contacts full time then, and now I just wear glasses all the time.
I still own and wear clothes from middle school, so I mean, that's fine.
All right. Flex on us. Why don't you? My goodness. All right. So I liked what you said about you don't always go with what everyone else is doing, because that brings us to the perfect thing of what we are actually talking about today. And so this episode is What's the Hype? And so each of us picked a book. It's a popular book by either an unknown author to us, or we just haven't read it. And we're going to try to determine, like, what's the hype? So why don't we talk about how we picked our books? Do you want to go first?
Sure. Okay, so the book I picked is called Dungeon Crawler Carl, and it's by Matt Dinniman. Okay, so I am not on TikTok at all, and I'm not technically on Book Talk, But I, obviously follow a lot of book people on Instagram.
Right.
But the people I follow are probably a little more specific. So I kind of like played around a little bit and messed up my algorithm because I wanted to try and see like what are other people,
Did you mess it up or did you broaden it?
I broadened it. So there was a book that kept catching my attention. And so then I went to Google and was like trying to learn a little bit more to see if this would work for this episode. And a few people I knew had already read it. Mm-hmm. And I was looking at the reviews. Several of them had rated it 5 stars. A couple of them gave it 4 stars. And I'm like, that's like a really high rating for some of these friends. And then one of my kids was telling me at dinner the other night that one of his friends was handing this book out to other kids at school. And I'm like, okay, slow down. What is going on here? So I ended up asking my family if they would be interested in reading it because I tried to get on the hold list for it. And I was like number 8. I'm like, it's not going to come in time. So I ended up finding out that this book was originally self-published. And the series itself, because it is now a series, has sold over 4 million copies by like the end of 2025. And so that was kind of how I selected my book.
Which I would like to point out that Bethany and I actually went into a bookstore together a couple months ago. And how many books of this that we saw and like the series, and to think that it was self-published is actually crazy.
Yeah.
Because that, of course, everyone who's self-published like hopes that their book will take off. But I'm like, has a book ever taken off like that? Like, actually wild.
Yeah, it was very impressive. So that was kind of how I found it. I messed with my algorithm. I confirmed a couple things on Google. I asked my cooler than I am child, and here we are. I read Dungeon Crawler Carl.
I just feel like you have to like Dungeon Crawler Carl. I don't know.
I have to slow down when I say it though, because I was like the words are like tripping over myself. Yeah. Okay, so what book did you pick and how did you find it?
Okay, I fear that my book is not as exciting, but I actually did The Fault in Our Stars by John Green. And before anybody says anything, this book has never been on my want to read shelf. I said absolutely not. A sad cancer book, no thank you. I already have A Walk to Remember. And my mom, of all people, asked me a couple months ago if I had ever watched the movie because she had like bought it on one of our, we share like a streaming thing. And to which I answered no. And she was telling me about how good it was and blah, blah, blah. And when we were throwing around the idea for this podcast, it got me thinking, okay, what's the hype with this book and movie? And I looked it up on Goodreads, and it was actually published my junior year of high school. So, like, it was, I mean, like, that, I was the geared audience. Like, hello? And it has almost 6 million ratings, and it is rated as a 4.12, which is high for Goodreads for that many ratings. Mm-hmm. So, I said, what's the hype? So it's fine. And here we are. And I finished it. And we're going to talk about them. So let's talk about what our initial thoughts were prior to reading it.
I personally was intimidated. So this book is 447 pages.
That's a lot of pages.
It is a genre that is very outside of my comfort zone. Because we're talking like not just video games, but like actually role-playing games, which is like a whole nother level for my brain.
Or just in general.
Yeah. And so initially I was just like, I'm hoping that if I kind of lean into maybe what I'm expecting to be like a dystopian feel, that I can kind of like, it'll surprise me.
Yeah.
Right? Like that was sort of my goal. Because there's 7 books in the series. So like there's got to be something here. And I also read the dedication while I was still at Barnes & Noble when I was like waiting. And I was completely charmed because it's dedicated to Fiona the Hippo, the greatest survival story of our time. And I have to say, I agree with that. Are you familiar with Fiona?
No.
Fiona is actually so silly. Fiona is actually a hippo that was born at a zoo, and she was premature. Oh. And so she was so small that she couldn't even like nurse from her mom. And so the zoo had to like step in and like kind of help to make sure that Fiona survived. And when I cracked the spine on this book, Fiona had just celebrated her 9th birthday. So how's that weird random universe stuff for you?
That's cool.
Yeah. So what about you?
So of course I don't live under a rock. I knew what The Fault in Our Stars was about. And I was like, I'm going to be sad. It's going to be a sad book. And I think I'm one of the only people that have not read it or seen it. I need someone else to tell me that they haven't, so I feel a little bit better about myself. I know it's about teenagers with cancer. Like, I just know that was the story. And with just doing film club and reading a similar storyline, I said, oh no, am I ready? I don't know. So yeah, those were my feelings prior to the book. I was not super excited. Like, it actually took me a little bit to actually start it. And I carried it around with me for a few days. So how did you feel about the characters?
I was actually intrigued right away because when I first met Carl, he was like newly single. He was kind of hanging out at home with his ex's cat, who's like this like prize-winning cat. And her name is Princess Donut the Queen Anne Chunk. And,
that's a name.
Yeah, I was like, what is happening here? But anyway, so the book starts, like, it jumps right in. So you have these two people. You have a cat and a human. And the cat, like, jumps out the window, and the guy's like, come back. No, I don't care. But no, wait, she'll kill me if I lose you. So he has to go outside to try and get the cat. And all of a sudden, the world just, like, disappears all around him. Like, everything just sinks. So if you were indoors, you're gone. But if you were still outdoors, then you're still there. And so then all of a sudden it's like you have to figure out where to go, and you go through the store, and then the whole game starts. And so, but that whole thing was just very vivid, and it was easy to picture. And I was like, oh, okay. And the side characters that you meet when you're actually like in the game part of it all, they were actually really entertaining. The descriptions of the players, the game is like, it was all very easy to follow. So I thought the characters were really fun.
Interesting.
Yeah. What about you?
I do love Princess Donut. It's a great name. So I mean, of course I knew that they were going to be characters with cancer. So this sounds so bad. But the characters it's interesting to see how they cope with it being teenagers. And really not knowing how long they're going to live, which sounds terrible. And like heartbreaking, but they used wit and sarcasm, and I can relate to the sarcasm part because I'm told that I'm very witty and that I can be very sarcastic.
Some would say it's a love language.
Thank you. But you know, and I think like some of the dialogue that they say to each other, I'm like, like you can't help but like giggle a little bit. They actually did make me laugh, actually physically out loud a couple of times. I don't know if you ever heard me, but their humor is similar to my humor. So I appreciated that part of it. And, you know, there's actually cool, it's not a very long book. I don't remember exactly how many pages, but, oh no, I do, 318. But there's actually a lot of characters in the book for it being kind of short. And you just kind of see, you know, Hazel's parents, and then you see Gus's parents and his siblings come into play, and then one of their friends that has cancer and ends up losing his eyes, and like the jokes that they make about it. I was cracking up because they were funny, and I was like, maybe that's, you know, obviously like the trauma bonding and all of that. And that's, I mean, my generation, we have a lot of dark humor. And so it like played right into that dark humor.
I feel like it always reminded me when I read it of like the whole, like you're not dead yet.
Right.
Right. Like,
yeah.
Even if you're terminal, you're still living.
Right.
And so like you have a right to laugh.
Right. Oh,
and to just be, and that's what I remember from the book.
Yeah, and everyone treating them like they're already dead kind of thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, yeah. Okay, so what about the plot? How did you feel about the plot?
It was curious. It was very adventurous. I will say it was a little dystopian. I don't know if that's just what I had to tell myself so that I could like keep up with it. But for this reader, it did have that like overall vibe to it. I was nervous when I realized how much like RPG video gaming was going to be in it, but on page 16 I did have my first laugh, And it was because Carl won his first achievement. So if you've ever played a video game, sometimes you like win things. And it says, "Congratulations, you earned your first achievement, crazy cat lady. You have entered the world dungeon accompanied by a cat. Isn't that sweet?" And I was like, oh, so it's going to be like that. Okay.
That's funny.
Yeah, and then I will just quick disclaimer about who I am. I did have to I went into the family chat and I was like, just to confirm, an NPC is a non-playable character, correct? And I was very, very proud of myself that I was right. So there was like a couple little things like that, but I did find, but maybe around like page 30-ish or so, I kind of found myself impressed by the way that it was written, because if you're a hardcore gamer or a person with limited knowledge, right? So basically my family or myself, it was written in a way where you could still understand and follow it. And so I was kind of like finding myself wondering, how did they do this? But it moves so quickly that I would have to assume it's like exciting for gamers. But then at the same time, because Carl is learning a game, like completely blind, he went into this game, right? So he's learning it along the way. And so for non-gamers, you're able to kind of follow and like learn with him. So like in terms of plot, like there was so much going on, but I don't think I got lost at all.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
And I was understanding like, oh, when you go into this one room, like you're safe and like, so there's these safe spots and there's, all this other stuff. And I don't want to give spoilers because I feel like everyone's reading this book right now. So I do apologize if I sound like I'm talking in circles, but I'm trying to say it in a way that's not going to ruin it for anybody.
And meanwhile, I'm the only one that hasn't read my book, so it's fine. Just kidding.
That's true. Spoil away. Okay, what about your plot?
The plot was deep. It was deep. And I'm still thinking about it, a few days after I finished it. And I'm realizing like just how deep it got, because you have several kids in a support group together. And it's so sad of like, they say a prayer at the end and they're saying all these kids' names that have like passed away. And then if you're, being like, oh, well, if they ride the elevator, it means they're at the end. Or like, oh, we used to have this kid, but oh, no, they died, so they're gone. So this is a replacement. And you're just like, oh my. But like also how their families and their friends treat them, but also how their family and friends are dealing with it themselves. Because this may be a spoiler, but like Hazel's parents like discussing, because she is talking in past tense, and so she's talking about the time that she was almost gone, and then they were able to like clear her lungs. But like her parents made a plan of what they were going to do like after she died. Like her mom was going back to school, and they just never talked to her about it. But this whole time realizing that, oh, actually her mom was in school, because her mom had planned horribly, but like for her daughter to die. And it's really deep. And it's really sad. And I said, ugh. And so but like, they go on an Amsterdam trip, which is a once in a lifetime trip, and you're rooting for the young couple, but they can't have a happy ending. And so you're just depressed. But like it was still a good story.
Well, and again, the importance of being happy in the moments that you do have.
Right, exactly. So, okay, so what kind of like storytelling was it? What kind of format was it for a dungeon crawler Carl?
Okay, so the things that stood out to me was like, I already kind of mentioned that it was easy to picture. It kind of read like I was watching a movie at the beginning, like the setup, it began in a world that I kind of recognized, but then when everything changed, it was written in a way where I was able to kind of follow and picture it and stuff like that. And even like, at the beginning of the chapters for me, there were like little illustrations in my book. So it was kind of fun to be like, oh, so that's what this fancy cat looks like. And oh, I did picture the dungeon troll the correct way. That's what I was thinking too. So it's kind of fun to see maybe how the author kind of envisioned some of these characters he created. It also had short chapters, which I love me a short chapter.
Yeah.
Because even the retirees who come into the library, like, most humans can barely find time to sit down and read 30 to 60 pages.
Right.
So, like, if you can give me short chapters where I can read, like, a couple really quick whenever I have a few moments, like, you have done the greatest service to me, and I will love you forever. I really respect a short chapter, especially when it's still, you know, you don't lose anything with it. It's
Right.
flowing. And I don't know, sometimes when you finish, like, 3 chapters, you feel like so successful.
I did something.
know.
Look at me.
Yeah. And the formatting was very clear.
Oh, okay.
Because there was like different font, different setup with the format. If he like won a reward or if like information was being shared with him, like all of that formatting was different. So the internal monologue or the story itself was kind of this one way, but then all of a sudden you'd have these like little smaller spots with bold print or a different font that would kind of tell you like what else was going on.
Yeah.
So maybe like what you would see on a screen if you were actually playing the game. Yeah, I think he put a lot of thought into it. I have heard that the audio is incredible, but since I couldn't get my hands on it, I had to do the print book, which, I mean, it was charming, but I am a little curious, like, what it was about the audio, because several of my friends were like, if you're going to do it, you got to do the audiobook.
Oh.
So if I do decide to try the second book at any point, I might just do the hold list and wait for the audio and just see, like, what the experience is like.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what about yours?
Well, I said before, I think that this is the first book I've ever... Oh, no, I'm saying it now. What am I talking about? But this is the first book I've ever read by John Green. Like, I'm familiar with his books, but I've never actually read one of his books before. And it was so It was so easy to read and to follow. And it felt like a very quick read. And it was written in first person by Hazel, but told in past tense. So as Hazel talks about her cancer and how sometimes she wakes up and knowing her body and she can tell when it's a rough day. And, you know, John writes her as a witty character, and he's, you know, a grown man writing as a teenage girl, but he did it so well. And I feel like if you don't have those experiences, like, it can be hard to do, but he really did it fantastically. But it follows the traditional arc of like a rising and then an action happening and then the climax happening and then the falling action. So I will, and it's definitely realistic fiction, and I will say that the ending was not how I expected the book to end. And I was a little bummed at the end. And I love, because like in the end it's she's reading a letter. And then it ends, the book ends. And I kind of thought that he was going to refer back and end this book the way that her favorite book ends. Because she has a favorite book in the book. So I just said book so many times. But she's reading this favorite book, and she actually gets to meet the author, who is, of course, very disappointing. But then I feel like I honestly feel like her and Gus changed the author's life, too. So it's not about the destination, you know, it's the journey and getting there. And we've said it, and like, they're still living, you know, they're still alive. They can still have these moments, and how many people's lives that they can change in the process. And I feel like they totally changed the author's, the author's perspective, because he had loss. So, yeah, that was kind of, it was your traditional, you know, arc. But he's a great writer. I don't know if I'll read any more of his books, but, you know, I wouldn't be opposed to. Mm-hmm. So
I've read several of his. I love them.
Yeah. So, but, you know, like, in the end, was it worth the hype? How did you feel about yours?
I have to say yes. And so here's the thing. Even though this book was not technically written for maybe a person like me, I get it. Like, I get it. And I'm really looking forward to, since I bought the book, because my family all agreed that they would read it if I bought it. I'm excited about my kids coming home this summer and all of them reading the book so that we can like talk about it and joke about it and stuff. And so I see the appeal. I really, really do. Would I have picked it up if we weren't doing the podcast? Probably not, because I wouldn't necessarily have been looking for it. So I don't know that it ever would have made it on my radar. But like, I think the reviews are right.
Yeah.
I really do. And, you know, even as like an outsider who doesn't play video games, like I still get it. And I was very entertained by a lot of the stuff you put in here. So like, one of the things that was in my head when It was maybe like almost halfway through the book. There's a moment that I was like, I've literally said this to my family. And there's a character, there's doing stuff like on the screen or whatever, and it's like the screen jerked around like I was watching someone play a game on Twitch. And all I could think is like when I walk through the living room and my family's watching like, you know, some video game like Twitch stream or something on YouTube, and I'm like, it's just so jerky and annoying, and like I don't get it. I don't understand the appeal. But like people love it. It's just not for me.
Yeah.
And you know, and so this book almost like gives a little respect to people on all sides of it, because it does make a joke out of it, but at the same time it celebrates this thing that like so many people love.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how did he do that? So I'm like, did your parents used to teach? Like, did you have a sister? Like, who is it that like helps you see that other like funny side of it, but
Right.
also being able to appreciate the creative side of it and all of the other stuff that does come into it? Because even I have to admit that there is a lot that goes into some of that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So
For sure.
yeah, so I don't know. I have to say yes. Like, I totally get it. And I'm sorry for any judgments. I'm not a gamer. I'm not an RPG person. But like, yeah, I would say give it a try.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's on my Kindle right now, which is funny.
Okay.
So,
What about you?
okay. I understand the hype. I 1000% understand the hype for The Fault in Our Stars. For me, it wasn't worth the hype, but it might be because I read 2 stories with teens that have cancer very close together, because we did do a Walk to Remember in January for Film Club. So, you know, one was written by a strictly adult author, and the other one was written for young adults. So most of the people that I know that read this book was when we were teenagers, and they love it. And it's actually one of their favorite books. I read it as an adult. You know, I'm reading it now, 16 years, like, after. And it didn't hit the same for me that it probably would have 10 plus years ago. I understand the hype, but for me, it was not worth the hype of how crazy and big it was. Not to, because it was a great book. Like, I still thoroughly enjoyed it. Like, I might actually go back on my Goodreads and up my rating.
Okay.
Because like talking about it more in depth now, I'm like, oh no, actually I did get a lot more out of it than I thought I did. But for me, it wasn't worth the hype, but I understand the hype. So, and I love that for everybody. And I guess I'll just keep it with that. So for me, it wasn't worth the hype, but I understand the hype that people gave it. It didn't hit for me the same way. Mm-hmm. So yeah. All right.
This was kind of fun.
It was. I enjoyed this.
I wasn't expecting, and it was a little more work because we were like, if we're really going to do this, we both have to like squeeze in time to like read this book and
Yeah.
like really, and it was, yeah.
Y'all should have seen me. It took me forever to start it, but once I started it, it only took me a few days.
And we've been so busy lately, which has been awesome.
Yeah.
We love it, but yeah.
Well, I have one more question for you. What are you reading now? Now that you're done with Dungeon Crawler Carl.
I am back in Fell, New York,
Ooh.
reading A Box Full of Darkness by Simone St. James.
Ooh.
Yeah. And they have, there's been a couple moments where there's kind of been like a comment about the sundown. Mm-hmm. So like there is little shout outs kind of back to, you know, if you read The Sundown Motel by Simone St. James, there's little shout outs to that. But like the story itself is taking place in their childhood home and like the neighborhood that they grew up in.
Fun.
So yeah. Yeah. But I have like, I think I only have like 15 or 20 pages left. So I'm almost done. So I'll probably finish it on my lunch.
You are.
I'm excited. Yeah. What are you reading?
I'm actually reading Dating at the End of the World by Jenova Rose, which is different for her because it's very doomsday preppers, and it's not, you know, she's written other books, and I think this one is actually kind of completely different.
Interesting.
So yeah, we'll see how it is.
You have to keep me posted because I did enjoy the one I read for book club a couple months back. So I've been considering reading more of hers.
Yeah. All right. Well, if you have a book that you're like, it was worth the hype or it wasn't worth the hype, or if you want to send me hate mail, I'm kidding.
We do secretly love Not Worth the Hype. We'll have quiet conversations at the desk with anyone who wants to come talk to us about books.
Yes, because there are a lot, and
Yes.
people are afraid to say it, and we'd be like, no, spill it. We
Yeah.
want to hear it. Even if we love the book. I want to know why you did it. You can email us at themulberrylibrary@gmail.com and share those thoughts with us. You can also share them on Instagram or Facebook. Well, we do read the messages. So, yeah, we'd love to hear from you. And with that,
Happy reading, Mulberry.